Hello everyone. Today I want to talk about how to select stones, and without further ado, let's get straight into it. When I select sharpening stones, I like to think of three groups. The first group is the synthetic water stones, such as this Shepton glass stone or your very known Neva stones. Then we have the natural stones. These deserve a video on their own, I think, but I will talk about them. And then we have the diamond-based or CBN-based stones, such as this Atoma diamond plate or these DMT stones here. Each of these three groups has its own, weaknesses and strengths, and I want to talk about them now. Let's start with the, I would say, most common one, and that's the synthetic water stones. There are, I think, hundreds of different brands on the market, and personally, the brands I found to be the best, but that's just me. I will go into detail why. Personally, I found the best to be Shepton glass stones and Suehiro. But even better than Suehiro, I find the Shepton glass stones. For, that's very important, EDC knives, pocket knives, bushcraft knives. And the reason I think those are the best are because they are so hard. You have to you still have to lap them. You don't want to have lapping, by the way, if you don't know, is making them flat again on a piece of diamond stone. You still have to lap them. However, I would say if you lap them regularly, you will never come across, a big hollow spot as it can happen on those. This is very subjective, but on softer stones, even though I lap regularly, it can happen during a long sharpening session that you already have, a concave curve in your stone, and then you have to lap it if you want, very straight and clean bevels. With these, they easily last several knives before you have to lap them. But again, the best practice is to, after every knife, just run them quickly over a diamond plate. So these are the stones I prefer, and they work for almost all steels except very highly wear resistant ones, such as CPM 10V, for example, found on the Spyderco here, Maximed, CPM S125 and so on. Those steels, and that's where we move to the next group, will only work well on diamond and or CBN stones, and also on Belgian cortical stones, but about those later. And the reason it is that way is because you have something called carbide tear out. If you want to know more about carbide tear out, I have documented it with this very nice metallurgical size microscope in another video you will find on my channel or on Instagram. I don't want to go into detail about it now, but if you want to avoid it, and if you want to avoid it, you need to use either diamond-based stones or CBN-based stones. CBN standing for cubic boron nitride. And these always will stay flat if you talk about these electroplated ones here. There are also resin bonded ones I don't have yet. I will, however, get some very nice vitrified stones soon as a little teaser. But yeah, these stay flat. However, their feedback is very bad. Like, it's scratchy, and it's not a nice experience to sharpen on them if you find it a nice experience at all. I do. This is why I got so many stones, right? Anyways, these work with all steels. They work very fast. Their downside, however, is that two actually, they wear, and the diamonds get less aggressive. They get glassy, and even though they are very hard, and unlike waterstone, you cannot lap them. You cannot expose fresh sharp particles, so they will go down in grit and eventually have to be replaced. Also, excuse me. Also, these are limited in grit range. Like, I think the finest I've seen was like, like, except some Chinese ones which will have any grit they want, but the finest serious ones I have seen were 3 micron, and that's fine. But if we talk about Shepton stones, like I have one here that goes up to 30,000. Okay, so that's if you are after that kind of edge, and those stones are limited. But for every progression. No matter what stones I choose, if I have a really dull knife, I will probably start with one of these because they make removal of metal very easy and also allow for a very clean apex to form in the beginning, which is very important. Like clean in the sense of flat and straight, because again they cannot hollow out. Okay, those are very good for initial edge restoring. Now, moving on the natural stones. Again, these are a huge rabbit hole and deserve a video on their own. I will probably make one in the future. Let's just say that we have a lot of different stones from all around the world. Personally, I settled on two types. Yellow Belgian cortical stones. These can even cut those vanadium-rich steels because they are made out of garnets. I have a dedicated video on those, I just remember, by the way, up. But only on Instagram if I remember. Or now also on YouTube, And yeah, go watch it if you want to know more about those. Big advantage, they stay flat for an extremely long time, cut very fast. They are also, again, capable of cutting or sharpening these vanadium-rich steels. Downside is they are very expensive usually, if you want a good one, and also a little bit of a gamble because it's a natural product, so you need to try before you buy. That's very important on Belgian stones, and even more important it is on the Japanese natural stones. Now these are, I mean, I'm not an expert on them. This, by the way, is a so-called Ozuko stone, very hard, intended for razors, but I found it to work very nicely on these EDC knives we like and use, right? Even more expensive, sadly, than the yellow Belgians. I mean, they can cost up to several thousand. But this one is also quite expensive, a few hundreds. But they work very fast. Depending on, again, there are softer and faster ones. I would buy the faster ones. It's usually written when you buy them. Buy the faster ones, buy the harder ones. They are rated from levels 1 to 5. I usually just buy 5 or even 5 plus as this one. And one very, very big advantage of those Japanese natural stones and also those Belgian ones is that they don't clog. Now, what do I mean by that? If you watch closely here, you will see that black stuff. Actually, it's not that bad on this stone, but when you sharpen on finer synthetic stones, they will get swarfed, as we say. Metal, you taking off, your edge will clog the stones until they have no more abrasive power, and you have to constantly go over it with a so-called Nagura stone. Those are natural stones. These are basically, if you will, steel erasers, wet, of course, to get them clean again and sharpen. And the finer you go up in grit, the more annoying it gets. And on the 30,000, I find I have to do it every few passes if I really want to, use it. Now, and this, by the way, you can use these Feldknife and CC4 stones very effectively as Nagura stones for all grits. But if you don't want to mess with that, as I do, I make now knives as a living, or very soon. Time is money. These, I don't know why, but these just don't clog up. At least I have around, how many do I have? Around 8 of them. And they just don't clog up. They wear slowly. They don't clog. The harder ones can cut vanadium steels. But again, as with the Belgians, they are a gamble. They can be very expensive. But if you really are into sharpening and got a good source, if you want to know a good source, you can contact me. But please do it, not in the comments. I can direct you directly to people who get them for you. They are a little bit of a trust game. So if you buy them, you should be aware where to buy them. Again, you can contact me via the designated message, and I will be happy to help you out. But if you get good ones, like this one, I would trade, I think I would trade all of my finer sharpened glass stones for this one, because it's so amazing. Now, that being said, let us, summarize. We have 3 groups of stones, the diamond and CBN ones for very hard steels and for bevel shaping. We have the artificial water stones, such as this sharpened glass, your Naniva, and we have the natural stones. And I think for the most part, unless you are dealing with these very wear resistant steels, you are fine with those. However, I think if you are into EDC knives, as I am, and I think you probably are, if you're watching this video, I think the best way to go if you want to go freehand. I mean, I also have a wicked edge, but if you want to go, which has mostly diamonds anyways, but if you want to go, and this is my personal recommendation, make of it what you want. If you want to be prepared for everything, what I would recommend to you is buying at least 2, better 3 diamond stones, okay? For example, DMT coarse, medium, and fine. And I've made a separate video about strops, the video before this one, if you want to know, and about 2 strops ranging down from 1.5 to 0.5 micron. But in the next video, I will introduce you to my, go-to set for the most part. But let's just say if you just want to go into buying maybe your first set of stones for EDC knives and you want to do it freehand, coarse, medium, fine diamond stones from, for example, DMT or Atoma or both. And I would say a fine stone is about a diamond stone from DMT. I think the fine one is 3 micron, which is perfect. And after that, 1 micron and 0.5 microns drop, maybe even finer, a third one. And then you should be good to go. If you decide to settle on these on these synthetic stones, don't forget to buy, if you get anything from 4000 grit and up, don't forget to buy these slurry stones. You can buy these natural Nagura stones, or basically what I recommend, because these will always work, just a little more expensive, Falcon even CC4 stones, 2-sided, can be used very well. And I recommend having a separate slurry stone for each sharpening stone, because that's something I will tell you when we do a practical sharpening, or when I do a practical sharpening video. Especially at the finer grits, it's very important to keep them clean. You don't want to cross-contaminate anything. On strops, it's the most important, but also on stones it can happen. But don't want to go into detail about that. Okay, now this video is already 12 minutes long. This is just a part of the sharpening equipment I own. But these here, I would say, are very frequently used stones. And I will touch the subject of handling the stones in the hopefully next and hopefully soon happening practical video, where I show you actually how I sharpen. The reason I don't do it now is because I still have my injured finger. I still have to wear my splint occasionally, but now I can take it off once in a while. So yeah, gotta bear with me a little bit. Alright, thank you very much for watching. Please feel free to ask any questions in the comments, or your comments in general. I'm very interested to hear them. Have a wonderful day, night, wherever you are, and don't cut yourself. Bye.